Hey guys, what's going on? The name's Christine here. I'm a 25-year-old stay-at-home mom currently at the moment doing this as a hobby. We're going to be covering chapters 6 and 7. Just for a little, sneak peek before we get into the reading, we're finally going to get to understand what a conclave is. Conclave meeting. Anyways, thank you for listening to my previous episodes. If you could share with your friends and family. Go into the description to go into my YouTube or Twitter. You can search me up on YouTube. It's called Kris the Book Podcast, and my Twitter account is Kris the Podcast. Thank you so much. Let's get into this. Chapter 6, Gaslight at the End of the Tunnel. My phone keeps ringing in total silence of the room. To spare further familial humiliation, I pull it out of my pocket to decline the call. It is my friend, Serena, who graduated last year and is now living in Phoenix. So I fire off a text telling her it's a conclave and I'll call her when it's over. Then I slide into my seat, third from the left at the far side of the table, same as always. Nice of you to join us, Clementine, my mother says coolly, brows raised and crimson-painted lips pinched. Perhaps next time you'll make sure your uniform is clean before you do so. She's staring at my chest, so I follow her gaze only to find a large brown stain directly over my left boob. I must have pulled this uniform out of the dirty clothes basket and not the clean one, because that's just kind of a day I'm having. I'd offer you some tea, my cousin Carlotta snickers, but it looks like you've already had some. She's in 10th grade this year and is downright sophomoric about it. Don't listen to them, sugar, my grandmother tells me in her syrupy sweet southern accent. The nice boy's like a girl who doesn't put too much stock in her appearance. Don't be talking to my sweet girl about boys now, Viola. My grandfather scolds her with a wave of his hairy knuckle hand. You know she's too young for all that business. Yes, Claude, my grandmother replies, even as she winks at me. I give them both a grateful smile. It's nice to have someone in my corner. Sometimes I wonder if things would go different if my dad hadn't left before I was born. But he did. And now my mother has made it her mission to punish him by taking his fuck-ups out of me, whether she realizes it or not. Now that Clementine is here, I hereby call its conclave to order, my Uncle Christopher says, banging on the gavel on the table hard enough to rattle all the tiny porcelain teacups my mother insisted we drink out of. Beatrix, please serve the tea. Within seconds, the conference room is filled with kitchen witches pushing tea carts. One is loaded down with teapots and all of the assortments. Another is piled high with finger sandwiches, while a third has a variety of scones and elaborate pastries. We all sit in silence as everything is perfectly arranged on my mother's favorite floral tablecloth. Flavia is one of the youngest kitchen witches, smiles as she puts a plate of small cupcakes on the table next to me. I made your favorite cream cheese pineapple icing for the carrot cakes, Clementine, she whispers. Thank you so much, I whisper back, with a large smile drawing an annoyed frown from my mom. I ignore her. Flavia is just being kind, something that's not exactly prized here at Calder. Not to mention, she makes crazy good carrot cake. Once the oh-so-prestigious Calder family Wednesday afternoon tea is served, and everyone has filled their plates, my mother ceremonially takes the gavel from Uncle Christopher. She's the oldest of the 5 siblings currently gathered around the table. It's a position she takes very seriously since she inherited from their older sister when she died, sometimes before I was born, and something she doesn't let any of her brothers and sisters or her family forget. Though she has a gavel in her hand, she doesn't do anything as gauche as bang it. Instead, she holds it as she waits for the table to fall silent around her. It only takes a second. I'm not the only one in the room who has suffered one of my mother's endless lectures or diabolical punishments. Although, I still maintain that trinkler duty is way better than what she made my cousin Carolina did. Clean the monster fish tank for a month from the inside. We have a full agenda today, my mother begins, so I'd like to break protocol and start business part of the meeting before we finish eating, if no one objects. No one objects, though my favorite aunt, Claudia, looks like she wants to. Her bright red top knot is quivering with either indigestion or nerves, but she's so shy and introverted that it's hard for me to tell. My mom, Uncle Christopher, and Aunt Carmen definitely likes to be the center of attention at these meetings, while Uncle Carter spends most of the time trying and failing to focus the spotlight on himself. It's a Manicore trait, one of the only Aunt Claudia and I seem to be lacking. Everyone fights for center stage, like it's the only thing standing between them and certain demise. The first 2 weeks of classes have gone exceptionally well, my mother intones. The new traffic patterns of the hall trolls have instituted appear to be keeping the flow of students orderly in between classes, as well as keeping fights from breaking out in hallways. Just as we hope, we had no injuries. Actually, Aunt Claudia speaks up in a breathlessly voice, a little more than a whisper. I've dealt with several fight injuries in the healer's office, but they're all minor, so, as I was saying, no major injuries, my mother interrupts, narrowing her eyes at her sister, which is the same thing. One glare from my mother, and Aunt Claudia knows this is a losing battle. Uncle Brant reaches over to pat her knee, and she gives him a grateful smile. There's a storm watch on the Gulf right now, but we should be fine, Uncle Christopher manages to interject, even without the gavel. Our protection should hold, and if it does develop further, it should pass right by us. Do I need to talk to Vivian and Victoria? Aunt Carmen asked, jumping in, as she always does, at the first opportunity. Have them cast another protection spell? Uncle Christopher twists at the end of his auburn mustache around his fingers as he contemplates her suggestion. I suppose it couldn't hurt. What do you think, Camilla? My mother shrugs. I think it's unnecessary, but if it makes you feel better, Carmen, who am I to stop you? Then I'll have the witches take care of it. Aunt Carmen's voice is nearly as stiff and cold as my mother's. There is no love lost between my mother and Aunt Carmen, who is the sibling closest to her in age. She's tried several times to launch a coup to replace my mother as headmaster. They've never worked, but they have made family conclaves extra entertaining. What about, Aunt Claudia lowers her voice like she's about to tell a secret. The matter in the, lower level. You mean a dungeon, my grandmother corrects with a shake of her head. At least call it what you people have it turned it into. I'm with her. That dank, dark area definitely qualifies as a dungeon. The matter in the basement, Uncle Carter says, steely voice, is well in hand. I'm not so sure about that. Something almost got out of its cage while I was down there earlier. The words slip out before I'm about to say them. Everyone turns to stare at me like I'm kind of particularly nasty bug. I know I should regret saying anything, but stirring the family pot is the only thing that makes conclave bearable. Everything is perfectly secure, Clementine, my mother tells me, eyes narrowed so much that I can now see a sliver of the blue as she looks at me. You need to stop making false reports. It wasn't a false report, I said as I definitely swiped some icing from my cake with the finger and lick it off. Ask Uncle Carter. All eyes turn silently towards my uncle, who turns Calder Academy red. It's simply not true. Our security is top-notch. There's nothing to worry about, Camilla, he blusters, his goatee quivering in affront. I think about pulling out my phone and blowing up the whole charade, but it's not worth the detention I'll surely get. So instead, I duck my head and lean back in my chair. This time, it's my shoulder. Uncle Brant pats. For a second, I want to cry. Not because of my mom, but because his smile reminds me so much of his daughters, my cousin, Carolina, who died a couple months ago after escaping the scariest prison in the paranormal world. She was sent there when we were both in 9th grade, and not a day goes by I don't miss her, but knowing she's gone forever has made it ache so much worse. My mother continues the meeting per her agenda, but after a couple more minutes, I tune her out. Finally, just when I can taste freedom, she hands the gavel back to Uncle Christopher. Our last order of business tonight is a little more family-oriented. He grins with pride, and so does my Aunt Lucinda, who practically squirming in her seat with excitement. The suspense lasts mere seconds before Uncle Christopher announces, I'd like us all to take this opportunity to congratulate Caspian on getting early acceptance into the University of Salem's prestigious Paranormal Studies program. The whole table erupts in cheers while I sat there, feeling like I've been shoved off a cliff. Okay, Chapter 7. Let the pickle chips where they may. Congratulations, Caspian, Aunt Carmen tells him, lifting her teacup in salute. That's fantastic news, Uncle Carter jumps up, knocking over his chair in an effort to be the first one to clap Caspian on the back. The others quickly follow, as it isn't long before my cousin is preening under all the attention and well wishes. I focus myself to walk over to him and give him a hug, but after all, it's not his fault I'm reeling, any more than it's his fault that my mother wasn't so much to glance my way. She refused to let me apply. She told me I couldn't go, that none of us fourth gens could leave the island for college. She even asked why I couldn't be more like Caspian and be happy and stay on the island after graduation, take over the academy like we're meant to do. And now I find out that he's been applying to schools all along, that his parents have been supportive of him. Anger rips through me as I give Caspian a hug. He may be a bit of a tool, but I don't blame him for finding a way off this island and taking it. My mother, on the other hand, I definitely blame her. Congratulations, I tell my cousin when he finally lets me go. He beams at me, his bright blue eyes shining against his copper skin. Thanks, Clementine. I can't wait to hear where you've been accepted. My stomach sinks because, what can I say? Why didn't Caspian and I talk about colleges before? Why did I just trust my mother when she's been known to play fast and loose with the truth? My smile is forced as I try to figure out what to say. Carlotta elbows me out of the way to congratulate Caspian. I try to calm down, try to tell myself there's still time to apply anywhere I want to go. I'm not stuck here after I graduate. I can still leave this place in my rear view. Her control of me is almost over. That's the thought that gets me through the rest of the conclave. It gets through Caspian's ridiculously pompous speech and Uncle Christopher's proud bragging. It even gets me through my mother's continuous refusal to meet my gaze. But the second the meeting is adjourned, I race to the door. I'll confront my mother tomorrow. Tonight, I just need to get far away from her and the rest of the family. Grandma calls after me as I book it down the hall. But I don't turn back. If I do, I'll end up bursting into tears. Tears are emotion, and any emotion is weakness. My mother doesn't respect weakness. So to keep the tears from falling, I keep running. My phone vibrates just as I make it back to the cottage. Part of me expects it to be my mom demanding I come to talk to her, but it's all quiet on the front. Instead, it's Serena. Serena, I hope Flavia's carrot cake made it more bearable. I want to hear all the gory details. Me. It helped, but there's not enough carrot cake in the world. Serena. I'm finally going to do it. Me. Do what? Serena. My first spell. Serena. It's going to be a full moon tonight. I gathered all the ingredients I need. Once it gets dark, I'm going to cast a circle channel to the moon and go for it. I sent her a celebratory gift. Me. What kind of spell is it? Serena. It's for luck. I still haven't found a new job, and rent is coming due. Me. Why don't you just cast a prosperity spell? Then you could take your time finding something. Serena. All the books say not to do that. Prosperity spells always backfire, but I got an interview tomorrow, so I'm hoping luck will get me the job. Me. You'll do great with or without the spell. Send me pics of the circle you cast. Serena. I will. Wish me luck. Me. Always. I think about calling Serena and tell her about what happened with my mom, but she sounds so happy that I don't want to kill her mood. The front porch light comes on, and the moths immediately flock to it. The second later, Eva sticks her head out the door. You coming in? She asks. Then she takes one look at my face and say, oh no. Bad conclave? Bad everything, I answer, heading inside. She's watching Wednesday on Netflix, as there's a half-eaten bowl of M&Ms on the coffee table. Apparently, I'm not the only one who had a bad day. Guys are dicks, she answers. So are mothers. I flop face down on the blue velvet sofa that takes up most of our sitting area and bury my face in one of the bright purple pillows. and English teachers. She settles down at the end of the sofa. A few seconds later, I hear her rattling her bowl of M&Ms next to my ear. Chocolate makes everything better. I'm not so sure it can fix this, I groan. I'm not sure if it could fix this, I groan, but I reach out and take a few anyway. What'd Mari do? She snorts. Cheated on me with a mermaid. What an asshole. It's not like it's true love or anything, she says with a shrug, but I did like the big jerk. The leopard shifter does have a reputation for being a fuckboy. Unfortunately. How did you find out? She was in the theater bragging to her friends about her hookup and how I didn't have a clue. She didn't know I was painting sets backstage. She picks through the candy bowl until she finds a handful of green M&Ms, then starts popping them in her mouth one by one. For a minute, I really wish I had access to my magic. No, I can punch her for you, I offer. I know it's not the same, but it could be satisfying. Eva shrugs again. She's not worth it, though. I did think about punching Amari when I confronted him and he tried blaming it on me. On you? Why? Because I don't understand him, and because he thinks with his dick, obviously. She reaches for the bowl of M&Ms again, and this time starts picking out all the orange ones. Now tell me, what happened to you? Caspian got into the U of S. What? I thought you couldn't. Apparently, that rule only applies to me. Caspian is free to do whatever he wants. Wow, that's totally not cool. She hands the bowl back to me. So what'd your mom say? Nothing. She won't even look at me. I flop back down on the sofa. Eva looks concerned. Why not? You need to talk to her, and Angular paired me up with Jude for the class project. I interrupted. Her eyes go wide. Holy shit! And she stands up. Where are you going? M&Ms aren't going to cut for this. She opens the pantry and coos. Oh, hi, Squeaky. Good to see you're okay. We missed you yesterday. I roll my eyes. I can't believe you named a mouse. Hey, mice need love too. Seconds later, she's back at the bag of our favorite dill pickle chips. Where'd you get those? I asked, making grabby hands. I have my ways. I was keeping them for emergency, and this is definitely an emergency. She opens the bag of chips before handing it to me. Now spill. So I do, telling her everything that happened in class today. She stares at me in rapt silence until the end. I can't believe she wouldn't change your partner, she says, when I'm finally finished. Everyone knows not to pair you with Jude. I'm so unbelievably screwed. I shoved another chip in my mouth as a knock sounds at the door. If it's my mom, tell her I'm dead. I snark as I toss a furry blanket over my head. I need time to figure out what I'm going to say to her. Right now, I feel like I can't even be rational when it comes to all of her lies. It's not, Eva says, going to answer it. I raise my brows. So you got x-ray vision now? No, but I did call in reinforcements. She throws the door open and reveals Lewis standing there, carrying Korean face mask in one hand and bottle cyanide green nail polish in the other. Green? Eva asks, brows arch. You've heard of fuck me red? This is fuck you green. Perfect for breakups. He hands it to her, then turns to me. You look awful. Tell me everything. I can't do it again, I say, shoving a handful of chips in my mouth, so I don't have to talk. He turns to Eva. What did Jude do? How do you know it's Jude? I squawk. Please. He waves a dismissive hand. The last time you looked like this, when I first got to the island, that boy had just broken your heart. It took forever to mend you. So tell me, what did that jerk do this time so I could go kick his ass? I put the chips away before and tempted to eat the entire bag. Then I say sulkily, he never actually broke my heart. Oh, please. He rolled his eyes. You cried yourself to sleep every night for 6 months. Because I just lost my 2 best friends. Jude ditched me for no reason, and Carolina I break off because I don't want to think about her right now. Lewis sighs as he settles himself down on the couch and pulls me up for a hug. I didn't mean to bring her up. I'm just saying you've got 2 new best friends who are totally willing to kick Jude Abernathy Lee's ass. If we need to, right, Eva? I mean, I'm willing to try, she agrees doubtfully. But I don't know how well it's going to go. That boy is tough as hell. True. Lewis contemplates for a second, then holds up a packet in his hands. How about face masks then? Looking good is the best revenge. I laugh, exactly as he intended. Then I say, only if I get the watermelon one. Please, Do you think you're dealing with an amateur here? He snorts. They're all watermelon. Okay then. I hold out my hand for one, because Lewis is right. I do have two new best friends, which is a rare thing to find here. While neither of them will ever replace Carolina, they don't have to, because they really are the best, just the way they are. Even before Lewis, in typical guy fashion, says, I still think we can take Jude. Eva considers it. Maybe if we pepper spray him first. You know what they say, babe. Lewis makes a little clicking noise at the corner of his mouth. First the face, then the mace. Literally nobody says that. I tell him when I finally stop laughing. Not where you're from, he says shyly. I roll my eyes at him, lean back on the couch, rest my head on his shoulder, and kick my feet up as the next episode of Wednesday comes on TV. But that's tomorrow Clementine's problem. Because tonight, it's all about us, and that's more than enough. All right, so that was chapter 6 and chapter 7. See, now, I say that these two chapters belong together more so because of the conclave meeting. I wanted both of those to be in one single chapter, one single episode. So the conclave meeting seems like it's a meeting between Clementine's family, all of her extended family that works on the island and does anything, really. I guess it's their time, or it's their way of saying this is family time. You know, you gotta spend family time even though no one wants to spend time with each other there. But it's also like a staff meeting, which I don't understand. The children, you know, like Clementine and her cousins, they're part of the family. But if they're going to talk about, you know, staff meeting stuff, maybe they should do it without them. Just a thought. So it seems like Clementine's mother really insists on keeping her on the island for whatever reason. Like, she may seem cruel and everything, but I'm going to give her the one side up. Maybe she's doing it to protect her. Maybe that's why she's being kind of a dick and not allowing her to apply to colleges. Just maybe. Like, it seems like this family is full of people who just want the attention to be on them and them only. And if they don't get it from you, you're very irrelevant, which is pretty toxic. Also, in these two chapters, you know, Clementine is very hurt by the fact that she wasn't allowed to apply to colleges, but her cousin was. And he had the support of his parents. So I can see where Clementine is coming from. All she wants is to feel loved by her parents. But since her dad left and it's just her mom has become a stick in the ass. From what I could see is Clementine tried, most likely as a child, of constant approval of her mother, but never got anything. It seems like her grandmother is the only one who kind of understands what Clementine's going through. You know, like she was even nice enough to try to stop her when she ran out of the meeting when it was done. You know, everyone needs a good grandmother. You know, I never got to know mine, but I like to imagine she was nice. Well, after she gets back to her cottages, Eva's being a really good friend. And look at Lewis, or Louis. I'm pretty sure it's Lewis. They're in America. It's Lewis. But anyways, now seeing the way and how he's been talking more, because in the first chapter, I thought him and Clementine were somewhat of a thing. Now, he honestly seems like the gay best friend. The gay best friend between the two girls. That's what it seems like, especially with him choosing 3 watermelon masks, Korean face masks. That is, not too many straight guys will do that for a friend. But now we're starting to get into a little bit more of the drama. It is good to hear that, well, somewhat good to hear. This is my prediction that Clementine and Jude were a thing, or seems like they had something going on between them. But I guess it didn't last, or there's just bad chemistry, or something toxic happened. I'm wondering if something happened, or like there's a misunderstanding. But who knows? And you know, I just love on how they put a little side note that Eva, she named the mice in her house, in their cabin. Like, what I'm kind of imagining is either like 2 things. One is Stuart Little, if any of you know that movie. Him just living in their in their cabinet. Either that, or I forget what the little Mexican mouse is named, but from Bugs Bunny, the little fast Mexican mouse. I'm just imagining him living in the cabinet and going, ay, 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 I can't wait to figure out more about what's, this conversation that's going to happen between Clementine and her mother, if it happens. But I'm pretty sure it will. Thank you for listening. This was chapters 6 and 7. Please give a like and subscribe to my YouTube. It's called Kris the Book Podcast. My Twitter account is called Kris the Podcast. If you could give me a follow, shout out, or something, that would be really cool and really awesome. I made a GoFundMe because I couldn't figure out how to use Patreon. It was a little confusing to me. So please, if you guys like, you don't have to. It honestly doesn't matter. But if you guys would like, you could donate $1 or $2, and that will go towards better gear. Like, my short-term goal is to be able to buy a microphone by doing these podcasts. A microphone from Amazon. It's just $30, but it's still, it's still something. Especially, I haven't said this before, but I live in Canada and things are actually getting really pricey over here. Like, Canadian prices are getting bad. Like, for one, there's this one sandwich shop, which I used to work at years ago. Okay, back then, the sandwiches were, without any toppings, just the pure basic sandwich. And it's an Italian sandwich, so it's smothered in tomato sauce. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Anyways, it was like $10.99 or $11.99, depending what type of middle filling you had. Now, it's like $15.99, and then if you add on toppings and stuff, your sandwich is going to cost around $20. It's crazy how inflation's going over here. Crazy. Same with I got passport photos done recently for one of my daughters. 2 years ago. And it was only 2 years ago, less than 2. It costed just $20. They raised the price now to $28.99. I'm like, holy shit. But I guess that's also fair, more so because they keep for some reason in Canada, they keep increasing minimum wage, which I don't really understand, because if you increase minimum wage, everything else is going to increase. It doesn't fix the problem of our economy. It really doesn't. Anyways, I'm going off, very, very off topic here. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Please like and share with your friends and family. Anyways, toodaloo. Bye.